All right, let's get into this Monday and talk a little Fear the Walking Dead. We used to talk about just The Walking Dead, but we're going to jump over to the sister
Yeah, I'm
series.
still kind of going through a Sunday night withdrawals. You know, you're so used to being amped up for 9 o'clock, and which I don't know why I'm saying that. I always watch it the next morning. Nonetheless,
But it's like
No New Walking
you're
Dead.
there in spirit, though,
yeah,
right?
I am.
You know it's happening, and like you're there in spirit. Yeah, I feel you.
So it's a strange transition, but we're going to get through it. And I am stoked for what's coming up with Fear the Walking Dead.
And that's what we're going to talk about. So before we move forward, of course, spoilers warnings are in effect because we're going to probably spoil the crap out of the show. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe and like button for all kinds of Walking Dead and other content. We just like to podcast, so we're going to podcast with you. But, so without further ado, let's talk about the return of two fan favorites. We're talking about Daniel and Troy.
Now, Daniel I knew about, but Troy. What are we talking about with Troy? Troy's last I saw, he was getting brained by Madison.
He got a hammer to the head, but it might not have been enough to kill him. What we're going to talk about are the possibilities of like how they could come back.
Okay. With Daniel, you know, I mean, you can't kill Daniel. I mean, Daniel's like a Morgan, you know. He's not going down.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Or a Rick.
He's just a badass. If he does go down, it's going to be in such a badass way.
Yeah. I mean, a dam blew up under his feet. Come on now.
Yeah.
But he survived it.
Between the two, Daniel or Troy, who's your favorite?
Daniel for sure. And I think the reason he's gone right now is probably Nick rode a Daniel raft. Or like Daniel, you know, had something to do with getting Nick to safety. And
so what, you think that you said, did you say Daniel rode a Nick raft or Nick rode a Daniel?
Nick rode a Daniel raft.
So Daniel just Papa Bared and spread out and let Nick.
I think so. And, you know, so Daniel just kind of got pushed on down with the current. I don't know. Maybe he just saw that a strand was in that little boat and was like, I'll take my chances.
Yeah.
We know he's not a Strand fan, which I don't see how anyone could not be a Strand fan. But.
That was one of my favorite moments from season 3 is where Daniel's interviewing Nick, you know, about...
Yeah, and interrogating.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. But so it is confirmed that both actors will be back. The actor that plays Daniel is a big musician. They say he actually spends a lot more time traveling and doing music than he does on acting.
I've heard that.
And the actor that plays Troy, so both have been confirmed to be back. Now, we don't know how, and we're late on this. We are. If you're listening and you know you're getting ready to just destroy us in the comments, y'all are so late. They announced this 2 weeks. Well, I mean, last week there was a blizzard that completely kept us out of the studio until around Thursday. In which case, the only time we really had in the studio was to do makeup work from being out for so long. But we know that it's been out. They've confirmed this a week or two ago. But, you know, we just wouldn't feel right if we didn't talk about it. And especially being Troy was one of my favorite characters on this show. I mean, he was just I don't know. You hated him, then you liked him, then you kind of hated him again, then you really hated him, then you started to. I mean, he just did a good job of, you know, kind of putting him through the ringer.
Yeah, I'm curious to see exactly what capacity he's going to be back in. I mean, he got knocked in the head with that wrench or whatever, hammer or whatever. And he was down in the bowels of the dam when it exploded, presumably. So
keep in mind, though, their return does not mean necessarily in the flesh. Or Troy, at least. Now, I imagine Daniel might actually return to the show.
I would hope so.
Because we don't know where he is. Whereas Troy, it may just be flashbacks, or maybe he's running into Althena before and she's gotten him on her tapes. It will be awesome regardless to see him again.
Ghost.
But
we'll see.
That would be cool.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, introduce a supernatural element to The Walking Dead. Maybe Ghost or Raising the Dead. That's
Can you imagine Alicia? I mean, your ex-boyfriends come back in ghost form. Girls like that just can't shake those exes.
Who?
Can't do it.
Alicia.
Her
and Troy didn't date.
They hooked up.
Her brother is she was hooking. His brother is who she was hooking up with.
I thought she hooked up with Troy. So it's been a long time since I watched.
No,
season 3.
she hooked up with Troy's brother, and then Troy got his brother killed, basically. Because remember the whole when he was leading the herd with the explosives in season 3, and his brother tried to stop him, and then basically Nick, more or less, that was one of Nick's stupidest decisions in my opinion. But Nick, the brother ended up dying. You don't remember none of this?
I
season 3. It was the best season of the show.
It was. It's been a long time since I watched it. But Alicia had something going on with Troy. Come on. I can't be wrong on that. This can't all be in my head.
I don't think so. I think it's all in. I think you're confusing Troy with his brother. Because Troy's brother they actually had like a relationship. Like they were hooking up and everything. But yeah, so I feel like Daniel may be back in the capacity of like a regular to the show, which would be really cool to see him, because it's going to be interesting to see him and John Dorie interact, and also to see how he's going to interact with Victor Strand, because the last time he saw Strand,
this was kind of all zombies.
Well, and this was all, this was at the dam. This is pretty much Victor Strand was the reason why all of this was happening.
No.
So, it's going to be cool to see how Strand and John Dorie are friends and all of this. And then if Daniel sees him, he might just like straight up pull a gun on him or something. And nobody else other than he and Strand are going to know exactly, or Alicia might know. But so I don't know. Yeah, I think that Troy is going to be back. And I truly think he's going to be back. Because if he comes back in the flesh, it's like, is he going to be like on a rampage to get revenge? Because the only person he could really want revenge against is Madison.
Yeah.
And she's no longer with us. And he and Nick were actually kind of, we're friends. He and Nick was kind of helping him to, kind of like the Glenn and what's his face relationship. Glenn and Homeboy that tried to kill him and then ended up the whole dumpster thing.
Oh, yeah.
I would know this if it wasn't so early. But
yeah, I'm running on fumes as well.
But yeah, I feel they kind of had that relationship. But even so, unless he's coming after Alicia, or Strand, I don't know. He could be out for revenge. But that's what I liked about Troy, was he was kind of a wild card. You never really knew where his head was. He was kind of unpredictable and a bit of an asshole, but there were times where he proved himself. So,
Yeah, I guess Charlie that murdered Nick. If he finds that out, maybe try to
maybe he'll be coming after her.
Yeah, that would not a good look. Trying to murder a child,
but that child kind of murdered your best friend. So.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I feel, and let us know in the comments section. You might know more about this than we do. It's early Monday, and we just kind of were like, hey, we've got to cut like a Walking Dead what if or two we want to do, but obviously neither one of us can think that much right now. Yeah. So we were like, we'll do the Walking Dead what if like Tuesday or Wednesday when we actually are awake and can think about it, because I've got a lot of production to do for one of our FM sister stations, and that's like all that's on my brain right now. It's a tall production order, and I've got to get that done. So my brain is very distracted, and poor JP's just been working himself half to death. Yeah,
it's been a jam-packed weekend. Had some fun, did work, but had some fun. Saw some live local music and, honky-tonked a little bit.
I hear that. Good weekend. Let us know in the comment section, especially if there's something that we missed on the Daniel and Troy. I was looking up things this morning, and everything I can find, really nobody has a actual... all we know is that it's confirmed that they are back, on the cast roster, but we don't... I haven't seen any confirmation of exactly what their roles will be. So if you know something more than we do, or you have a better educated guess, let us know. As at the moment, my guess is that Troy is going to maybe be on Althena's tapes, or we're going to have some kind of flashbacks with Troy, and Daniel will be back to join. We'll be back with the main cast.
I think he's going to be a regular member again.
But I would be okay with Troy. They better have a good reason, though, how Troy... he got smacked in the head hard with a hammer.
Yeah, he did.
Was unresponsive. And like you said, it was kind of at the bowels of
the dam.
As it flooded and exploded. We saw his body kind of floating away, so...
isn't that where they were, like, planting the explosives? When she
I believe so. One of the places,
like ground zero for that detonation. So.
I do think we saw it, though. I don't think the explosion, because I'm pretty sure it's been a year or two since I've watched season 3, but I'm pretty sure we saw the bottom area filling up, and we saw Troy's body kind of floating there, though. So it wasn't destroyed by the explosives, but we saw his body kind of floating as it was filling up. So I don't know. If he did survive, that's cool, but you got to give me something. Maybe, you know what, though? What if he has amnesia? A crazy unhinged character that has now come back but has no idea, but like he'll start remembering through the season, and then maybe it'll end the season or the mid-season finale with him pulling a gun on Alicia, or something, kind of being back to his maniacal ways. But I don't know, it's going to be interesting. That would be cool, like he comes back kind of with amnesia, like, which is kind of overdone and a bit cliche, but it would be cool to kind of be like, I just have foggy memories. Like, I know this went down, but I don't know who this woman that hit me with a hammer is.
They might do one of those storylines where, like, Alicia falls in love with, like, Amnesia Troy, who's like, forgotten he's an asshole, and she falls in love with him, but he starts remembering, and she's like, I don't want, like real Troy. I want, brain damaged Troy.
That's a really good theory.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that. That's a really good theory.
Like True Blood or something, like Eric Northman into like it's one of those regurgitated kind of storylines. But
I hated that show.
You didn't like True Blood?
Not one bit.
Man, the first 2 seasons were really, really good. It started kind of teetering downward.
I had an ex that tried to get me into it, and I watched like 2 or 3 episodes, and I was like, so it's vampire porn, basically. Softcore vampire porn. And she was like, no, it's not. And it's like, yes, it is.
The first season was pretty steamy, but the first 2 seasons, man, were dynamite. It had the... I want to say the same showrunner as 6 Feet Under for like the first 2 seasons, and
that's what attracted me to it. Was but I couldn't dig it, man.
It was much like The Walking Dead. They changed hands with the showrunners and creative, a few times, and
that's why if you're going to do something that you want to go for a while, man, just get one showrunner that one writer. You know what I mean?
One.
Then it stays consistent.
Yeah,
it stays.
Real.
I mean, because it's. Pretty much imagine handing The Walking Dead over to a fan who's a great writer. I mean, it might go a completely different direction.
Yeah, man.
But so how do you think Troy is going to return? How do you think Daniel's going to return? With Daniel, I don't know, but I feel like Daniel will be back to the cast. I'd be shocked if Daniel was just like a flashback or something, or one of Althena's tapes, which may end up being exactly what it is, because he's the actor playing him. He's a busy man. He's a talented musician. He's got a lot going on. And from what I've been reading, music is far bigger of a passion of his than acting is. Acting's just kind of something he does. He enjoys it, but music is what really, keeps him going. So he might just pop up in a flashback, just kind of for fan service or on one of Althena's tapes. But because he was gone for a little while too. I mean, we kind of saw what went down. But I mean, there's a day or 2 in there he could have ran into Althena.
I want him back. I want him back, and I want him back bad.
I mean, it's going to be interesting. So let us know, how do you think that they're going to return? And I'm trying to think, is there anything else? Really, I've been digging, and I haven't found any further details on their return, just that it's confirmed they're both going to be on Season 5. Do you think Madison will return?
That would be wild.
That was the stupidest decision they'd made. I'd enjoyed this season, and I've enjoyed. I really wasn't as huge a fan in seasons 1 and 2, but that was just me. Not everybody enjoys the same things. But season 3, I really liked, and then season 4, I thought it kind of started lacking towards the end of season 4. But I liked the first half a lot, and I really just think killing Madison off was kind of stupid, especially when you just lost Nick. It'd be different if Nick's character didn't leave. I mean, but you,
Madison. They should have kept her around, and that wasn't like it wasn't like with Nick. The actress didn't want to leave, right?
I'd read that she was not happy about leaving because I think she really enjoyed this role, and they just killed her off. You've got this really awesome, strong female lead, and I think they're kind of trying to force Alicia on us as that strong female lead now, and she is, and I like Alicia, but I just like Kim Dickens as Madison. I thought that was a good role. I really just, in the crossover, I wanted to see her and Morgan meet, or her and Morgan to, I don't know, and then eventually maybe to see her cross over and meet some of the, I don't know, she was just such a strong character. You really wanted to see her with, so. But there were some people in the comments section when we talked about on that episode that were very happy to see her gone. So,
I know, that's
as I
crazy,
said, to each their own, man.
Yeah. It's like
I
the
enjoyed her.
haters out there. You don't understand it, but their point is valid.
Everybody's opinion's valid most of the time. With Maggie, man, I'm not mad at Maggie. I mean, I get tired of her. I got tired of her anti-Rick stance per se. But I mean, I tell people, I'm like, you gotta put yourself in those shoes, though. Imagine you watch someone brutally beat your husband's head inside out, laugh about it, and then go through all the things they go through, and then when you finally have him where you want him and you want vengeance, you're told, you can't have it. Yeah. For whatever reason. Well, now in the comic, slight spoiler, but Maggie was perfectly cool with it in the comic. She's
from the get-go.
She's like, okay.
Makes sense.
That's what Glenn would. I think she even said something to the effect of that's what Glenn would want. But I mean, I get her being angry. I mean, it's not, but I wasn't a Maggie hater towards the end, but there are a lot of people that are like, I hope she stays gone. So. But yeah, so we'll be back with The Walking Dead What If in the next day or two, probably tomorrow, because it'll be an easy one. Granted, we're both awake.
Yeah,
we'll
be a little bit
occupying
more happier,
our minds.
Get through Monday, and we'll be back better than ever tomorrow.
I'm still tired. Like I said in another podcast, well, I think one of the only ones we did last week, or the only one, was that, when it snows, it's fun being in radio, but you work so much harder when it snows. I mean, it's just closings and delays and cancellations and traffic updates. So, and, of course, we'll be on time this week, Thursday. Granted, it don't snow again. Thursday is when we'll do our mail call podcast. We've had to push it back to Friday the last 2 weeks due to weather and busyness, but it'll be on Thursday this week.
Yes.
So. But yeah, so we will see you again tomorrow with a what would happen if Jessie would have survived the zombie invasion of Alexandria. How would things be different? What would her role be? What would Rick's relationship status be?
Thruple.
Would Carl even still be here? So we're going to talk about all that.
As long as her bratty little kid got eaten, man.
As long as both her kids, both are little bratty
that's
kids.
right. That's right, yeah.
One was a spoiled brat, one was a scaredy cat. Never rhymes. Spoiled brat, kitty cat. No.
Get eaten alive.
Spoiled brat, scaredy cat. I can't talk for that. We're going to wrap it up.
We're gonna wrap it up.
Spoiled brat, scaredy cat. There we go. But yeah, no. And this is in that scenario. We're imagining that both of her kids were killed, but Jessie survived. There's a lot of different ways to look at it. Remember, her son died. And when in this scenario, we're going to imagine that her sons died in the exact same way they did in the show. One called a katana to the chest and the other one got eaten. So how would she react? There's different ways. She might have understood that, Ron needed to die, or there's the chance that she would have despised Rick and Michonne in the group. So
yeah,
we'll discuss a bunch of different ways. And then there maybe is a scenario where the kids survive. But let's face it, all roads led to those two kids dying.
Yeah, and thank goodness
regardless.
They were awful, awful children.
But more Walking Dead discussion to be had tomorrow morning. I'm Justin.
And I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead.
Yo.